Eric, today we are continuing our conversation on simplicity and building simple products. I want to talk about today examples of companies that started really simple, that have grown in their complexity, which is what our next video is going to talk about. And then I want to talk about some of the areas where people who are building new products kind of get off course early on, and maybe some tips and tricks to stay on course.
So I think some good examples of companies that started simple, I mean, the Netflix comes to mind, Intuit or TurboTax, that product comes to mind, and Zappos. You know, Zappos just started by mailing shoes to people. He was getting them from his local store. Netflix, their entire thing was no return fees. Like if you were late, they just came to you in the mail. Actually, TurboTax started by just taking pictures of your returns on your phone. I think those are three really great examples of companies that started very simple and grew into something quite complex, yet still very simple. I mean, the value prop has changed a little bit for Netflix. And certainly the product has changed for TurboTax, but in general, the overall product and value to the customer has not changed, right? Like, you still get your taxes done. You still get to watch movies whenever you want to watch movies, and you still get shoes delivered to your door.
For new product owners, a lot of times we see them going very complex very fast, and I think it's because they don't actually understand all the moving pieces, and that's not their fault. They just don't have the experience yet. And so that's why a company like Crema, why we end up working with them. And what are some of the things when we're working with clients that come in with this crazy hairball idea and 15 features, and the product's got to do this and this and this, and it could also have this value. How do you get that person back down to really, the most basic core idea and what a proposed, initial solution could be?
So first thing is they tend to skip just validating that the problem exists, and they go right to the solution. And the misconception is that the best solution is the one with the most features. And then that leads into kind of the next pitfall, which is just building the giant crazy solution and sinking a bunch of money into it, and then they put it out into the marketplace, and they kind of do in reverse what we're recommending, which is at that point they've got this giant product, and now they're validating it against the customer segment or the marketplace, the general marketplace at this point, and the marketplace is saying, no thanks, we don't get it. That's what we see happen a lot, and what we try to do is get our clients to kind of take a step back and put some of that pride on the table, put some of that vision on the table, and we're not saying no, we're just saying not right now. Let's kind of pick that vision apart, and then let's test those pieces, and let's figure out what hits right now, and then let's find the one that hits the most, and then let's figure out how do we build a product that solves that problem. Buried in there is actually finding out if the marketplace actually wants a solution to this problem.
So in our last video, George and Alexa talked about habit loops and how it's extremely difficult to get customers or potential customers to change their existing habit loops. They're living their life totally fine without your solution. And then we talked about sort of the circle of motivation, the habit forming loops of cue, routine, reward. And you're always cueing someone to do something. They complete the action, and then you give them a reward for doing that.
We talked about Instagram in the last video, and the fact that it's very easy to just keep scrolling and there's always a new picture there, right? We know that that's going to happen, right? And that's an app that, at least for myself, I open dozens of times a day because I enjoy it. I like looking at nice pictures, right? I don't think Instagram was really solving a problem so much as it identified a desire that people had, and I think maybe a lot of people didn't even realize that they had that desire, but they hit on something that people wanted to do, and they made it a very simple way to do it.
Yeah, so I think the most important takeaways are focused on solving a problem. You can use surveys and interviews to test that you're actually solving a problem that's worth solving. Two is validate your simple solution. You can prototype things, put it in the hands of potential users to really validate that that solution should be created. The third, once you get there, ask yourself what you can remove from your solution to keep it simple. And fourth is develop the solution and really never stop testing.
In the end, simple is just really difficult to accomplish, and the world is littered with overly complex products that are attempting to solve a very simple problem, right? Arriving at a very simple product doesn't necessarily mean building something that is simple. Often you're building something very complex, and that simplicity is often masking complexity, and that's what we're going to talk about in the next video.